This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
Becky Lynch is going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
Welcome, everybody, to the WWE Podcast. This is the Bash in Berlin official reaction and review show here on the WWE Podcast, as I said. And I don't know why I call it reaction, given that a review is a reaction. But let's move on. Before I embarrass myself further, we have a lot to talk about from this show. There's some things that happened that, I think were pretty predictable, but predictability is not a bad thing. I think generally it was a pretty damn good wrestling show. They gave the stories time to breathe, and that's been Triple H's approach for PLEs since he took the reins, and I think generally it's been pretty damn good. Most of his PLEs have overachieved, and now we kind of know what we're going to get from him and his administration, so to speak, as we roll towards Bad Blood, which is October 5th, a month away, and a lot to talk about for that PLE as we get closer to, as we can see a lot of rivalries coming to a head at that PLE, given that once Survivor Series takes place the following month, and if there's a crown jewel, that usually resets things for Rumble season, believe it or not, yes. So Survivor Series is, of course, around the corner, but Bad Blood is going to wrap up, I think, a couple of rivalries, particularly Drew McIntyre and CM Punk in a likely rubber match. And then we have the Terror Twins of Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley versus Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio. I think that one may be in a singles competition as we head towards Bad Blood with likely Damian Priest versus Finn Balor. There's still some unresolved tension there. I mean, Finn Balor still hasn't gotten his receipt for what he did to Damian Priest at the last PLE, costing him the world title. So hopefully they wrap that up. But Rhea Ripley has got to get her hands on Dominic, and as expected, we didn't see any maneuvers, offensive maneuvers towards any of the females, while the females are able to do whatever they want against the males because, reasons. So that ultimately wasn't a surprise, but we look forward to the Bad Blood event that's only a month away. But we're here to talk about Bash in Berlin, obviously, as it took place last night in Berlin. And let me just say one thing about the crowd. I know a lot of you think I'm going to complain about it, and I probably will. It wasn't as distracting as France. And when I just say distracting, many of you may take that as a compliment, especially if you're over in Germany. Many of you may take that as a compliment because you're loud and that kind of thing. And it's about the number of decibels. They even have a decibel meter. It's a very self-fulfilling prophecy for WWE, who just looks at the noise level and looks at that as a success. But the German crowd, outside of their one chant that they kept cheering, I don't know what it is. I don't know what they were saying. I don't know what the hell it was. It had obviously nothing to do with wrestling, which, me, I'm not a fan of that. I honestly don't know how you go to an event and have the energy or the will to even chant that long, even if it was something I understood and liked, which is half the problem. But how does anyone go to an event? Maybe this is the United States mentality. Why would you want to go to an event and yell that long and chant the same chant 47 times over and over? I mean, what exactly is so important that you need to chant the same thing over and over? What was that? And honestly, the answer doesn't really matter because I don't care what it was. I really don't care. It doesn't matter to me. I mean, it could have been anything from we love ourselves. It could have translated into we love ourselves, I love me, or the sky is blue, wrestling is cool. I don't care what it was. I don't understand the will to even want to do that, but that could be coming from the United States mentality where I go to an event and I cheer when I feel like it's necessary, and that's the way it is. But WWE is taking a global approach here to their business growth, and I understand and appreciate that. But the crowd overall, I think they paid attention to the matches, unlike some previous PLEs in countries overseas that have been more about just the noise level for the sake of noise level, regardless of what's happening in the ring. We're just going to talk amongst ourselves. This was a little bit more focused. The German crowd seemed to be a little bit more focused on what was going on in WWE and in the match itself anyway. So that was good. So, credit to the German crowd. Really. I mean, you guys brought the energy. I honestly have no idea how you even have that sustained energy that long. I don't understand it. But, credit to you guys. Yeah, you definitely made it loud. So, now, the other thing is, for Germany, because I said my piece about the crowd, I hope you guys are taking a look at your wallets this morning, because I bet you're a little bit lighter. Your bank accounts are hurting a little bit more. Because WWE was very proud of the fact that they were able to announce that Bash in Berlin was the highest grossing arena show in WWE history. In fact, don't hear it from me. Hear it from WWE during the event. Here you go.
The highest grossing arena show in WWE history anywhere here at Bash in Berlin. You were a fast learner.
So Michael Cole, and I'll get to another thing he said during the show, all right, which is just, it was something that I normally don't hear from Cole, and I'll get to that in a minute with the tag team match between Dom and Liv versus Rhea and Damian Priest. We'll get to that in a second, but the crowd, though, cheered for losing their own money, for shelling out the most money of any arena crowd in WWE history, because they had somebody come out, I don't know his name, and speak in German to say you basically that you guys are the highest grossing crowd in WWE history. Why are they cheering for that? I understand if you're talking about attendance records, right? That makes sense. Cool. I'm part of the biggest crowd to ever be here. Why are you in the middle of the show also telling the crowd that you are part of the most money we've ever been able to take from fans at a single arena event in our company's history? Thanks for your cash, guys. That's essentially what they're saying. That's just no shame. And hey, I've been sitting on this show saying this company is a for-profit. They are. Their first and foremost priority is to make money, regardless of how people view that. That is how they survive as an organization. But the fact that they don't hide it, I mean, this is stuff that you discuss or release in a press conference, or rather an earnings call, I should say, an earnings call quarterly. You don't talk about it in the middle of a show. I mean, just no one seems to care. No one's talking about it. No one was making a big deal about it. I personally have no dog in the hunt. I didn't spend a dime going there. Tickets must have been absolutely insane. If somebody went to the event, I'd love to hear from you over in Germany. I know we got some of you out there that listen in Germany. If you went, or you know someone that went, or you know how much ticket prices were, let me know. I'll translate them into US dollars. Okay. What the hell were they charging over there? Did they charge you for the air to breathe by the minute? Did they charge you to go to the bathroom? What were they doing? It is an impressive feat, but from simply a greed standpoint, that's an impressive feat. But if you're part of the company or part of the fan space sitting there, you must be like, yay, wait, they're talking about how much money they just took from us. Boo. Of course, everyone there is voluntarily there. No one was forced to be there, but still, not something that you usually hear from a company. You don't hear that in MLB. Like, sometimes you may hear about stadium attendance records or consistent sellouts or whatever. And people cheer for that because, we're a part of this. Go us. But at any event across the world, and tell me about football over in the UK, which is i.e. soccer here in the United States, whatever. Tell me if they've ever announced, hey, no, thanks, guys. Thanks. We just made the most money we've ever made from a single event. Yay. I don't know. Okay, I'm moving on. I promise. Some of you will say, he spent 10 minutes talking about not even the show, but talking about a stupid comment made. All right, well, let's move on. Again, I'll get to the other Cole thing in a minute, which is it sounds so ridiculous. I'll let you listen to it in a minute. I'll have another soundbite for you. But I got to take a breath between my complaints so I don't get so many 1-star reviews. Let's get to it. All right, let's talk about Kevin Owens, Cody Rhodes. They opened the show for the Undisputed Championship, and both competitors got a very positive reaction. There wasn't really a ton of booing. In fact, there wasn't a lot of booing going on at all. There was some booing. I mean, Dominic Mysterio got some boos. But generally, this crowd was just so amped up to be there, they didn't really boo anybody. And I had that feeling they wouldn't do that too much. Because this is an event that's unprecedented for a lot of people's lifetimes. A PLE coming to Germany it's been 20 years, whatever. But Michael Cole also pointed out a stat to his credit that it's been 7 years since Kevin Owens has held singles gold in the company. That's wild. Also alarming. And if I'm Kevin Owens, I mean, yeah, it's not everything, but you've been a major player in the company for how long, and yet they haven't put gold on you in 3/4 of a decade? That's insane. However, Kevin Owens is in the main event here, a main event, even though it opens the show. And the second you saw it open the show, for anyone that even had for those outlier fans that thought they were going to be smarter than everybody else, and thought, hey, wait a minute, maybe there's a chance Kevin Owens could win here. The moment that you saw this match open the show, you must have been like, crap, right? There's no chance this match opening the show, that you're going to have a title change. But that's not the story here. And most people going into this said, okay, look, Kevin Owens has no chance. Unfortunately, that's been the approach going into almost every Kevin Owens world title match, especially when he faced Roman Reigns during the early years of his run. The story really was more about, is Kevin Owens going to turn heel? What's up with this leg? Are we going to see the old Kevin Owens? That's the story. That's what made this match interesting. Yes, both are world-class workers. You knew you're going to get a bust-ass match. That of course is, I hate to say a given, but with these two talents, you kind of know it is. But the story was more about the Kevin Owens character than it ever was about match quality or if there's any chance Kevin Owens could win. Those are totally irrelevant in this story if you were a wrestling fan for any amount of time. So you got a lot of teases throughout this match. Is Kevin Owens going to resort back? Is he going to do the buckle or the ring apron powerbomb? And he almost did it to Cody. Is he going to attack the knee of Cody? And he did. Once he was pushed to do so, he did. And you're wondering after Kevin Owens loses, okay, is he going to turn heel here? Stunner? What are we doing? And he didn't. Same with Randy Orton, and we'll get to his match with Gunther for the actual main event. They didn't do it. And so this kind of continues the trend of PLEs overseas that have great wrestling, but very little story progression, like actual turns, returns. That has not been the approach for a lot of these PLEs in France and Germany and Australia. It's been typically just, hey, here's 5 great matches. Give us a boatload of money. You can go enjoy it. But you know what? Sometimes watching pro wrestling for just great wrestling matches isn't the worst thing in the world. In fact, I'd argue sometimes that's what most of us want. Yes, storytelling overall is important, but sometimes you can have a story told in the ring. We forget that sometimes it's not just about the overarching story, but also what's happening in the ring, allowing the wrestlers to do what they do best. And that's what we get under the Triple H regime thus far, specifically for these overseas events. And now it looks like the next event is Solo Sikoa versus maybe Roman Reigns versus Cody in a 3-way, or it could just be Solo versus Cody, or it could just be Solo versus Roman. In some way, Bad Blood's going to be a bigger event in a lot of ways than Bash in Berlin was. And there's a lot more to be told with this Bloodline story, and I think it's going to be obviously much bigger event if you're looking for progression in story, returns, big moments, that kind of stuff. You're looking at Bad Blood, one that a PLE that I hold near and dear to my heart from 1997. As I know many of you who have been longtime pro wrestling WWE specific fans. But okay. talk about Rhea Ripley, Dom, Liv, Priest. All right. This matchup was, I thought, really good. But before the match, I have learned to like Michael Cole and actually appreciate him more than I think a lot of us have coming off the Jim Ross era. He was villainized because he didn't sound like Jim Ross. Jim Ross is, to me, the best announcer of all time, across all generations. Gordon Soley, Tony Schiavone, whoever, pick whoever, even Taz, who I really, really like as an announcer, Cole, whoever, right? I think you have Michael Cole put in an unfair position coming off of a legendary run to Michael Cole. And I've learned to really appreciate his work over the years, and he seems like a genuinely good guy. And I don't get on him too much. All right. And this is not something I don't know if I'm really going to take issue with him or what he's just really told to do. All right. What he's told to do is what he's told to do. And Michael Cole didn't exactly deliver this next segment on the show with particular fluidity or as a natural delivery, shall we say. If you can't tell that this next segment is being read, I don't know what to tell you. So just take a listen to this. Can you honestly say with a straight face, this sounds like it's somebody actually speaking to you? Does this sound like somebody how they normally would talk? Just take a listen and I'll have some comments on it.
Dominic and Liv. Well, it is Judgment Day for the crew torn apart in the name of power, purpose, and pride. The salacious party of 30, Dominic Mysterio, and his news of a mastermind, Liv Morgan, will take on the Terror Twins, the Punisher, Damian Priest, and Rhea Bloody Ripley. Right after this break, members of the WWE Universe subscribing to Peacock Premium Plus. Here's an inside look at the heart-wrenching betrayal that corroded one of the most formidable factions in the WWE to bring upon this mayhem.
Now, some of you probably weren't listening to this, don't care, and some of you probably still don't care. I brought it up. This may be one of the single most read portions of a PLE I've ever heard from an announcer. I know they have their sponsors, they have to read the ads, all that stuff. This literally was him in front of a piece of paper reading what is on the paper of how to promote this match. And maybe he was told verbatim, you got to read this, or Cole said, screw it, I don't have time to ad lib. Let's just read what's on the paper. I'm not going to paraphrase. I'm just going to read it word for word. Like, listen to that. I mean, just, I know, again, some of you don't care. Just get on with the show here. But I wanted to point it out. When I'm listening to this, I go, this is horrible. How could anyone even remotely get excited for the match by Cole reading this? It was just how creative wanted the crowd to perceive this. Like, I don't know. So just go back and listen to it. It's horrible. And I don't know if I'm really blaming Cole. Maybe he was told to read this verbatim, but it was as dry and inorganic and just read. It's like somebody doing a presentation, reading the PowerPoint presentation. That's what it felt like. Instead of just in your own words, you pay much more attention when you feel like someone's actually talking to you. And instead it's just like, hey, I'm just going to read every word on the PowerPoint. I mean, that's what it felt like. So anyway, moving on. The match, I thought, was as expected. It went exactly as expected, and that's a compliment to this match. The story going in was as hot as WWE's had. One of the hottest stories they've had. Rhea Ripley did her part. She was positioned several times throughout the match to get the hot tag. She's the one that you want to see get her hands on Dom, give him some payback. There were some moments when you thought Liv might actually get the victory here, and I think that there were moments of doubt that they planted in you that were done very well. And yes, Liv had a weird oblivion that was, I don't know what it was. Even Michael Cole said, I'm not sure what the hell that was. In so many words, he goes, I'm not sure what that was. Because it was just, it was a little bit of a botch. It's fine. It happens. But it was one that you're thinking, okay, finally they're going to get what's coming to them. And then here comes JD McDonough. Here comes Finn Balor. And they got, beaten down a little bit. Ultimately, though, the Terror Twins get the victory with Riptide on Liv Morgan. And that's not what you want to see, though. So you didn't get the real payoff. You didn't get Riptide on Dom. And you didn't get South of Heaven on Finn. Those are the two pairings that you're waiting to see, which tells you this match is not over, or this feud is not over. And Bad Blood, even the name of the event screams that this rivalry is not over. There's bad blood between these all these individuals. So you can easily look forward to, and I am, the conclusion to this rivalry at Bad Blood. And we'll see Rhea get her hands on Dom. Now, to that point, Rhea did what she exactly, we kind of knew she was going to do, and she got to play with the big boys, and even had a little offense on Carlito when he came out to help the Judgment Day with interference. And Rhea Ripley attacked Dom a few times, of course, with absolutely no offense on Dom's side. I'll continue to say it. I know you're tired of me saying it, but I keep seeing it, and I'm not just going to normalize it, because that's, I think, something that I'm just not going to do. I refuse to adhere to this renormalization that men can just be attacked by women in pro wrestling, and the men just are supposed to take it. And so that's what we continue to see, which is ridiculous. But Rhea Ripley's mega over. Priest has done a nice job transitioning to a babyface role. I think those two work very well together. They got a nice victory over the Judgment Day, and I think we'll see a little bit of heat back on the Judgment Day on Monday Night Raw. So, all right. One last thing I want to mention about Cody and KO, though, I forgot to say. And this really goes, though, for one of the themes of the whole event in Bash. The overuse of kickouts of finishes, we need to do something about this. I say we. I don't know who the we is. I guess the we are the people that are the ones who actually can make that change, which are the wrestlers themselves, who have a little bit of autonomy over their matches, but also the agents, the ones putting the matches together. Not even creative. Creative are the ones that just give you general direction, maybe how someone's going to win, but they don't really do all the intricacies of the in-between of the actual match itself. So the agents and the wrestlers themselves, I guess, are the we. But this re-education that pro wrestling needs to have in order to have a great match, you need to have kickouts of finishes and kickouts of finishes. And how many crossroads did we get? I mean, and why would you want a finish that isn't a finish? This isn't just KO and Cody Rhodes. Of course, they had that happen several times, specifically the crossroads. That just continues to be an egregiously terrible finish. And not just terrible because it looks bad, but also because it's constantly kicked out of. One never does the job. And so, yeah, that's the other moment that tends to rear its head during these long form matches. And this happened in both world title matches, the world title itself and the Undisputed title. About 3/4 through the match, when both men are exhausted, they've each had their hope spots. They've each had their comebacks. You get this moment when they've both kind of had a stalemate and they're staring at each other and they both just restart again, punching each other in the head. Sami Zayn and KO used to do this many, many times. Orton and Gunther did this, and so did Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens. And I understand it's just, we're stalemate. I mean, we've thrown everything at each other and we're still both standing. And now we're going to throw these punches that have absolutely no effect on each other as a visual aid to show you how determined we are and how closely matched we are. It's essentially what they're doing. And I understand the visual and I can appreciate it to a certain level. But the fact that both matches had it was noteworthy. I'll just leave it at that. But I just wanted to, the re-education of finishes, we need to do something. It's getting worse. And what I mean by worse is it's taking more finishes to finish matches. Even protected finishes like the RKO, really protected finishes like the RKO are being kicked out of now. Nothing and no move is safe anymore. And there needs to be a different way to create drama other than 48 finishers being implemented in a match, because it also takes the drama out of a finish. Why? Because the second a fan sees a finish, especially at a PLE, which everyone has their superpower turned on, and can suddenly kick out of finishes when on televised regular TV shows they can't, like Raw or SmackDown. But again, it takes the drama out of it because the fans are sitting there at a PLE going, well, it's going to take minimum 3 finishes here. There's no way it's going to take 1 or 2. So when you see a finish, you're like, all right, well, we're getting closer to the end of the match. It's never, oh my God, that could actually be it. And they're taking away what the purpose of an actual finish is supposed to mean when you see it get implemented in a match. They're taking that drama away from it. You're thinking like 3 finishes is equal to 1. The ratio is now 3-1. What 3 finishes getting hit today mean is what 20 years ago, even 15, 20 years ago, getting hit with 1 finish meant. So it's been diminished by a factor of 3. So, I mean, that's not exactly super statistical or scientific, I should say. I haven't done a study on it, but I would say that's about right. So I'm not a fan of the constant kickouts of finishes and the reliance at the end of matches to make it dramatic by hitting finishes that need to be hit multiple times, that fans know need to be hit multiple times. In fact, I think it would be even more shocking now if one finish in a match finished the damn match in a big moment, at a big spot on a big PLE. Do I think that's ever going to happen again? Probably not. We've moved too far away from it. So I just wanted to point that out. Maybe some of you totally disagree. Did this ultimately hurt the KO and Cody Rhodes match? I mean, a little bit, because the Rhodes finish is just so awful looking and weak. I mean, he hit 6 or 7 times. The stunner was hit twice, I think. Cody Rhodes kicked out of it twice. But I digress. So let's go to the women's tag team title match. Alba Fire and Isla Dawn versus Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair. Now, I still don't like the constant need to have coordinated moves and stuff that Jade and Bianca do. And y'all know Jade is going to get the hot tag. It's because she's the star that they're trying to build. And yes, my constant complaints of Bianca Belair twirling her hair down to the ring and skipping continues to remain. I don't, renege on that at all. I double down on that. But I actually thought for Jade, this match was pretty good. She had some moments that were almost botches, especially specifically the finish at the end of the match when they have their, kind of triple maneuver that ends in a German suplex kind of finish. I forget the name of it. I apologize. There was almost a botch there, but she is so strong that she was able to make sure that move went off without too much of a hitch. And they end up winning the tag team titles. A move that many fans expected, but I think it's the correct move. Alba Fire and Isla Dawn weren't exactly setting the world on fire. That was lame. But there was a need for a change because the bigger story I think they're trying to build to is the final split with Jade and Bianca. And whenever these two do split, could they split quietly? They could. But I think it's built to have these two split and eventually feud. And it could happen at WrestleMania. Maybe that's what they're eyeing. Maybe they feel confident enough now between now and the middle of April that they're saying, hey, there's a chance here. There's a chance. And I think that we feel confident now that Jade is in a position in the next 7 months, that she'll be in a place where she could have a one-on-one with Bianca, who is one of the best that the company has. So I think that's something that they're probably eyeing in my mind, but I could be totally wrong, but that's how I view it. So the match though was fine. I mean, Alba Fire, Isla Dawn. Now the fans, if it weren't for the Berlin fans, I mean, there's not a whole lot of usual reaction for the Unholy Union. They haven't really been established too much in terms of depth of character. So we kind of know that, they're unholy. Okay. Are they demonic? Are they Satanists? Or who and what are they? And, you get the occasional quick promo from them backstage, but not a lot of fans are attached to them because we don't know a whole lot about them. And, outside of we love pentagrams is essentially what they do. They haven't said that, but every time you see there any kind of symbolism rather, with them, it's pentagrams. Take that for what you will. But with Jade and Bianca, Jade, she was smoother in this match. For me, I'm looking for consistent improvement. I'm looking for a steady rise, not a meteoric rise, not up and down, up and down, up and down, but just kind of a steady, little bump. Okay, but we're still going up. Little bump, but we're still going up, right? That's what I'm looking for from Jade. And I think overall, I've gotten it. I know there's some emailers and listeners of the show that feel differently, and they look at Jade and are unimpressed and are tired of they're bored with this this union of Jade and Bianca. And I totally get it to some degree. They're very formulaic. They're very rehearsed, are they not? They're very they're too in sync. And I think that does take away from the organic feel of these two. They're so like they're rehearsed with all of their their mannerisms and things and their poses. That is something I agree. It's boring. It's annoying. But if they get away from that and just try to base this team in something more real, get away from all the rehearsed poses and things they do and sayings and all this and phrases, I think that the fans may organically start to come back to them. I think Bianca has been in the shadows with this whole company for too long now. I think Bianca needs to come back into the limelight, and I think that's going to happen when these two finally split. I think you could have a Bianca turn, you could have a Jade turn, and I think we're looking at probably 3-4 months from now that'll happen. But they have the women's tag team titles. Fine. I mean, they're the most dominant team that the women's tag team division, and that's not saying much, but that's true, that they've ever had. There's not a team in the company right now that really even has a chance on paper. All right. Drew McIntyre and CM Punk. The strap match. Brutal. And this was not, this also was not immune from the insane amount of finishes. I think the GTS might have been used more than even the Crossroads was. I think the GTS was like 6 or 7. Maybe Cody Rhodes was like 4 or so. So the GTS was hit on Drew just a crazy amount of times. But this match wasn't about pinning or submitting. It was just about hitting 4 turnbuckles. And you have to really, in this kind of match, no matter how talented the people are in the ring, you have to suspend your disbelief even deeper than just the standard match, because you're supposed to believe that these ultra athletic athletes aren't able to hit 4 corners in succession when their opponent is down. I mean, if they really wanted to, these men are so athletic, they could have done it in about 4 seconds, but we have to go through the drama of, they're just so exhausted that they can't make it to the next. Again, I'm not trying to tear this match down. These men did an awesome job. I really enjoyed this match, but it's just, as a pro wrestling fan, it's just another level of disbelief you have to kind of, inherently absorb before you go into this match. There's not a lot of them. I mean, strap matches are few and far between. But ultimately, I think they did a really good job. The storytelling was good. The pacing of the match was slow at times, but it was fun. You had CM Punk getting his bracelet back. There were times when you thought Drew would win. Claymores. There were 3 of them at most. And you had the announcers telling the story of Punk's his own worst enemy. That's what cost him his match last month. And it's true, because there were moments when Punk had the match won and he decided to go back, and he almost cost himself again. And he, went to a turnbuckle, hit a GTS, went to another turnbuckle, hit the GTS. And, ultimately he ends up getting the victory after hitting the 4th turnbuckle. And this match was brutal. I mean, they worked their asses off. It's good to see that Punk didn't get hurt. That's always a concern every time he works. And it's the first victory he's had, as Michael Cole stated, in 10.5 years in WWE. That's significant, which is really mind-blowing that it's been since 2014 that Punk has had a victory in WWE. Crazy, but I appreciate those kinds of stats that most people aren't thinking about. And the match, I think, delivered. The match delivered, and one that I think, again, is not done, as each man has a victory, and it'll conclude inside, I believe, inside Hell in a Cell. This is, out of all the rivalries, yes, you could even say Solo and Roman, but that matchup has been put on the shelf for a little while now, and what's been going on longer and burning hotter is CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. That, I think they are destined for a Hell in a Cell match. That's, if I was to put a Hell in a Cell match at Bad Blood, which I do think there should be one, the Punk and Drew rivalry is worthy of the Cell. That's the key. So when I say there should be a Cell match, it's not just because it's Bad Blood, although there is a little bit of me thinking that. I assimilate Bad Blood and Hell in a Cell. But the more important question is a match or a program worthy of it? Not just we're going to put one there and whoever happens to be the most qualified gets one. To me, it's this program's deserving of one. And I think that, I hope they'll give them one. And yeah, I could be wrong. They could go solo if they're going to do a Hell in a Cell. I guess they could do a different program, but this is the one to do it for me. But I give it, I give this match like a 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. Both men, as I said, worked really hard, physical. That leather strap must be brutal. I can't imagine the welts that are on their backs and stomachs and bodies this morning. It's got to be just painful as hell. But they told the story. They told it well. They worked at a pace that Punk can work at his age. And the bracelet, it was a lot of it was about that bracelet, man. And now Punk has the bracelet back. So there's that, and the lights I do appreciate, the lights that kind of are indicative of how many in a row they've gotten and what their progress is. That's, I think, important. That was implemented, I forget the last time it was, but I've seen strap matches and Texas bull rope matches that they aren't implemented. And you have to just kind of remember where they're at. I mean, I remember watching some of the 2000s with Eddie Guerrero, and you have to remember, oh, wait, did he hit that turnbuckle? So the visual of seeing which turnbuckles they've hit is a nice touch. And each man is assigned a color. So I do like that, too. The visual presentation for a strap match has been upgraded, in the last several years. This isn't the first one to have the lights. So I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the Punk and Drew, so there's some positivity for you for all the stuff that that I took issue with, all the weird stuff, right, that no one's thinking about, and you guys are probably like, why is he spending so much time on this weird stuff? Now my brain, I guess, is, for better or worse, works differently than a lot of fans. But let's get to the main event here. Gunther and Randy Orton. Randy Orton comes out and gets a very positive reaction. And I had said, even though Randy Orton acknowledged he's going into enemy territory and figured he might get booed, I didn't think he would, because the fans are so excited to see him. The last time Randy Orton competed at PLE in Germany, I mean, I don't think has he ever, maybe? I don't know. So they were just too excited to see him. He's a legendary star. He's still at the top of his game, which is incredible. Gunther, you knew he was going to get a positive reaction because it's close to his home country, and he did. Both men, I think, got close to equally positive reactions. The fans were just there to have a good time and cheer for both men, and that's what they got. And the pacing of this match was slow in the ways that Drew and Punk were, but the story told was really good. With the arm of Gunther and not being able to powerbomb Randy Orton, Orton eventually hits an RKO. And again, with that being one of the few protected finishes, you're thinking, hey, maybe. 1, 2, kick out. So nobody was immune. It was an equal opportunity kick out of all finishes last night. No finish was safe, but it was a fun finish with Gunther not using his power bomb or any other maneuver other than a sleeper. I love that stuff. It's a smart finish. A smart finish on several levels. Let's go through them. Gunther retaining. Very smart. Randy Orton winning for what? Another number to get closer to John Cena / Ric Flair's record. So that should not be at the top of the WWE's list. Plus, Gunther already won it or won it recently, you're not going to have him drop the belt. Now, that'd be absurd. Even to a guy like Randy Orton, who is a legend in the business. And so that was number one. Gunther retaining, good stuff. Number two, how he won was super important here. You didn't want another question mark or asterisk next to this victory that Gunther collected on Randy, like he did at King of the Ring when the shoulders of Randy Orton were clearly up and they brought it into storyline. And it was a stain on Gunther's record. And Gunther won fair and square. So they redeemed Gunther, and you want that for Gunther. A guy that they're helping or hoping is one of the building blocks of the future. And not just a future main eventer, but a future Hall of Famer at this point. He already is a main eventer. So a next Hall of Famer is the next big stage he could get to. That's what they're hoping. And you can only do that if you got to give him real victories at some point. And it was very important that Gunther win clean. And he did. Number three, the fact that you can use just average, quote unquote, moves in a match to finish a match makes total sense. Logically. Now, I know that wrestlers have, quote unquote, finishers, and that finishers are assigned or, I guess, chosen by the wrestlers to end their match. And it's exciting, and oh my God, this could be it. But once in a while, it makes sense that you have a regular maneuver end the match. Putting somebody in a sleeper hold in real life would actually make them pass out. And Gunther has the size and strength and believability to actually make Randy Orton pass out. And he kept hanging on and kept hanging on and kept hanging on, and Randy Orton passed out. They could do this every once in a while too. Like, it'd be nice if they did this a little bit more often with, the effing super kick that has been, I guess, defined down to a wrist lock. I mean, that's essentially what it means now. But it's nice to see when moves that aren't typically viewed as finishers are used as finishers. And also, number 4, did protect Randy, where Randy wasn't pinned. He didn't submit. He just passed out. That's a classic maneuver to protect a babyface. And I have no problem protecting Randy. Not that his character needs protecting in the sense that, oh my God, his legacy, I'm using all these puns I don't mean to be, but that could be it, or rather, Randy Orton looks like he's on the decline. He just got pinned. He's doing jobs. No, he didn't pin. He didn't get pinned. He didn't submit. He just passed out. That's a nice out for Randy. If you're trying to make him a serious opponent for maybe Cody Rhodes, which I am really, really hoping we get a Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton matchup. Maybe as soon as Bad Blood. Could they do that in 4 weeks? For me, this is even Rumble or Mania level worthy. I would much rather see a Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes main event for WrestleMania than I would Cody Rhodes and The Rock. And simply because I don't want to see Cody Rhodes beat The Rock, because they would. But with Randy Orton, there's a hell of a story there. And if he's protected in this match to where you could say, well, he never was pinned or submitted. Yeah, he lost, but he didn't actually lose in a way that would damage him for being able to say he should get a title shot. And also with Cody Rhodes just giving away title, basically begging people. He had to beg Kevin Owens for a title shot, which is ridiculous. Why isn't Randy Orton, qualified for that? I mean, there is no reason. He should be. So it could be a way, again, that they were just trying to protect Randy because they know he's about to turn. He's about to turn, and he's going to turn on Cody. And give me a heel Randy, man. Give me a heel Randy. And they might not do it because SmackDown is a bit short on the babyface side. Or rather, no, I shouldn't say that. With Roman back, Cody's there, both mega babyfaces. You have Kevin Owens apparently still a babyface. Randy Orton is the perfect candidate to turn. He feels way more natural as a heel anyway. I don't like when he panders to the crowd. It's weird last week on SmackDown with him 2 weeks ago on SmackDown, pandering to the crowd, thanking them, all this stuff. He should turn on Cody. Give us a Bad Blood main event. There's bad blood between them. He even hinted at it about a month ago, right? Remember the WWE Undisputed title sitting between them backstage in the locker room, and there was a hint that he could eventually come for him? I think it's a perfect time to strike. Why not? Get Cody also out of the bloodline stuff. I know that Solo said he's next in line, but I think Roman has something to say about it. Maybe the match between them will be a number one contenders, or it'll just be a grudge match between Roman and Solo. That has to take place at Bad Blood. I don't even want Cody involved. Get Cody out of the bloodline for God's sakes. I mean, we've seen it enough, but to me, I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you guys want Cody and Randy? Boy, that'd be, to me, it's the prime opportunity. It's, if you don't want it for WrestleMania, now's the time. Because once you get into WrestleMania season, which only is a few months away, believe it or not, as Survivor Series starts to plant the seeds, and then a month or two later, you're in the Rumble, and bam, you're there. So it may not be a bad time for Randy and Cody Rhodes. Also, it would turn Randy into a heel, which not only is it better for SmackDown in balance of heels and baby faces, they need a heel, actually, not a baby face. And they need a good experienced heel, and Randy Orton can provide that. But also, it would set the stage for a John Cena return on January 1st. You could have a long run with Randy as a heel. Most of his career, I believe, has been as a heel. At least, to me, the most successful parts of his career has been as a heel, or have been as a heel. And then you could have eventually a John Cena Randy Orton matchup before John Cena hangs up his boots in December of 2025. So it really, I think, serves multiple purposes to have Randy turn. So when does that happen? Is it soon as SmackDown? Could be. I will say, if Randy Orton is not injected into the title situation over on SmackDown on Friday, this coming SmackDown, is it Denver, Colorado? I think it's in Denver. Then, maybe he is going to go for Solo versus Cody versus Roman, or some kind of combination thereof. But Solo and Roman need to battle themselves out here. They're the story that you want to see. Cody, I think, would be a distraction, even though he's the champion. Now, Randy Orton is hopefully not coming back to Raw. He was on Raw facing Gunther here with, again, no explanation other than they needed a main event. But he comes back to his home base in SmackDown, and I think this Friday we could see hints of it, if not a full-blown turn by Randy. So, all right. Well, I think that'll do it for me here on the show. Now, I do want to give a shout-out to a new patron here. And we have a new patron that joined us over the weekend here, and over for the Bash in Berlin event. As some of you did, I saw some of you. I watched a little bit of the community tab there, and saw some of your chats, and saw some of the Discord server. You guys are a lot of fun to watch, which, by the way, is exclusive to patrons. If you want to join the Patreon side of things, it's patreon.com/WWE podcast. If you want to go ad free, you can also check out Apple Podcasts and go ad free there. Spotify has an ad free option, but for the ad free version, or rather the new patron, Entario W. Entario W. Thank you for joining us. And I think I already mentioned it. Yeah, I already mentioned that person. I can't pronounce the name. That's how I know. So Ontario, thank you for joining us over on Patreon. Hope you enjoy your ad free. I know a lot of you do, because there's nothing like listening to a podcast. You don't have to worry about oh crap, here comes the ad. You can feel it coming. It's been about 9 minutes. Here it comes. And you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about that over on Patreon. You don't have to worry about that over on our website, WWEpodcast.com. You can go ad free there, or you can go, as I said, to Apple or Spotify. Great places if you want a totally streamlined experience. So, all right, well, that'll do it for this official WWE podcast Bash in Berlin review. I know I went off some tangents here and talked about things that most aren't talking about, with some little nitpicks. But overall, I would give the event a B+. When it comes to pure wrestling, if that was your expectation, you got it. And hope those of you in Berlin didn't go into debt too badly in order to, if you financed your tickets to go to this event, you may have probably overspent, but I understand it. They don't come often. I probably would do the same thing too. I'm sitting here like a hypocrite, but I probably would too. If I was starved for a PLE, I'd go too. And the WWE knew that. They knew they had pent up demand. They knew they had a fan base that was rabid, and they knew that they could squeeze all the money out of them that they could. And what do you think? Oh my God, imagine this. One last thing. With the UK rumored to hold WrestleMania 42 this year, obviously he's in Vegas at WrestleMania 41. With the UK rumored to hold WrestleMania 42, imagine the ticket prices in the UK. Oh my God. You guys might want to start a separate savings account now, like 18 months in advance. Just start putting a little money away now, those of you in the UK, because you're going to need it. You're going to need it. And there's reasons they do that. They know they can get away with it. They know the fans are willing to spend it, but also it's more expensive for the company to go over there. A lot more expensive for them to travel there, bring all their equipment, all their supplies, and obviously the hotels. And there's a lot more that goes into the travel overseas than just, domestically here in the U.S. But anyway, thanks so much, everybody, for listening. I appreciate it. If you like us, give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. I would appreciate it. I really do. And go follow us on X at wrestling_audio, or just search the WWE podcast on Twitter or X, whatever you still call it. And I'll be back tomorrow. I might be dropping a new episode of my other podcast tomorrow. It's called The War on Truth, not wrestling related. I always want to have that little disclaimer. It's not a wrestling related show. It's culture and politics. You can search for that really anywhere podcasts are available. My show is the one with the laptop, not the other one. I like to point that out because people have asked me. I'm the one with the laptop. I have 3 or 4 episodes that I've dropped, and maybe I'll drop one tomorrow on top of a nostalgia that I'll pull out of the vault and drop for you guys here on the WWE podcast. And then I'll be back Tuesday with the Raw review. So thanks so much, everybody. I really appreciate it, and take care.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.